Okay, today we're going to be working on this dozer again. One of the hoses that works my blade back and forth here is leaking. You can see it's underneath that cover there, and it goes up under there, and I think it comes up right here, I believe, and it's one of these hoses that comes in and connects under here. I'm not 100% sure. I'm gonna have to trace this thing down, figure out exactly what it is, where it goes. But it's leaking pretty badly. It used to just have a little tiny leak, but now it's really pouring out of there. I filmed another video of replacing this one. I replaced this one, and I think one more on the other side recently. It's about that time. But this one really needs replacing, and I'm not sure where it goes, but I'm gonna set everything up and fix it where you can kind of generally see what I'm doing, and we'll see if we can trace this thing down and figure it out. But that's our job today, and that's what we're going to try to fix. I've only got a couple. This is in the middle of nowhere on my land. I've been building roads. Talked about that a few times. So we're in the middle of nowhere, and it's late in the afternoon, so I don't have a lot of time, but I hope I have enough time to figure out where this hose goes, and this hydraulic hose, and to chase it down and get it loose from there and see if we can figure out what's going on. But that's what we're about to do. So we'll set it up and we'll get going here. Okay, I think our first step is going to be to get this cover off. So I'm going to start there. I think that's 5/8. Okay, my wireless mic is dead and I hadn't charged it, so I don't know how good the volume audio is going to be without it being through this microphone. But we'll give it a shot and see what we get. I may have to come back and do a voiceover on this thing. But we'll try to record it and see what we get. But I think our first step is to get this cover off. And I think there's 2 screws that I can see here. Hopefully, just don't know if there's another one up in there. Let's see if we can get these 2 off first. Let's see if that does it. Well, we got to get another one off after that, or not. Maybe it's just these 2 we can see here. Should be nice. This thing's really greasy from all that leaking. And there's metal under here, and I don't see anything leaking. Coming from further back up in there. Of course. See if we can clean some of this up a little bit just so it's not so messy. Yeah, it's not this end of the hose, so it's got to be up here somewhere. Either one of these, they're not leaking. I'm going to take this off. Well, it's sure running down there and dripping out down here. Where it's coming from under there, I have no clue. Alright, I think my best bet is going to be to stop the camera and hunt this down first, and then I'll come back and show you what I found. Okay, after quite a bit of struggle, I figured this out. It was coming from right down in there. It was actually this hose right here. The hose is fine. It was loose. This fitting was loose, and so hydraulic fluid was spewing out there from the pressure. I tightened it up, tested it, and it still had a little drip. And so I loosened it, retightened it, and it still had that drip. So I opened it back up, and there's a little O-ring in there, and that O-ring has a nick in it. And so that's my problem. I don't need a new hose. I think the hose is fairly new. Honestly, you can see how this one is real silver. And if it's an older one, they're either brown like that one or they've been painted. So I'm pretty sure that's a fairly new hose, and when somebody put it on there, they tightened it too much and they busted. Actually, I don't think they tightened it too much. I'm not sure if they just, because it was loose, I don't know if it just worked its way loose, and then when I tightened it, I messed up the O-ring or whatever. Maybe I messed up the O-ring, but for whatever reason it wasn't tight enough. So I don't know how they, unless they over tightened it and messed up the O-ring and it or something. I'm just not sure. I probably messed up the O-ring myself. I don't have any O-rings with me, but it's a simple fix, and I don't think I need to replace that hose because, like I said, it looks like a fairly new hose. It's been wrapped with something to protect it as well. Up underneath there's a metal bracket that goes over right here, so that's to keep it from rubbing a hole in it. Sometimes they have the springs on them like these do. And this other hose here, I had to take it loose too and check it, but it's this one that was leaking, and it simply wasn't tight enough, and either I over tightened it or somebody before me over tightened it and messed up that O-ring. So I got to get an O-ring. It's a 20-minute drive out of the woods here, and then another hour drive home, so I'm not going to try to fix it today, and I may not even video that, but we'll call this a fix. We figured it out. We found out how to get in. It was a booger trying to figure that out. I took the two, there's a plate here, you can see those two plates right there. I took the screws out, and the other plate was so gooked up that it was stuck there, and I didn't think it came off, and I couldn't figure out how to get those hoses out from under that secondary plate. But I took a screwdriver and a hammer and got to thinking, well, maybe that other plate comes off, and sure enough, I was able to split that. It just was caked on there, so it wasn't moving, and it was hard to get off there. Once I remove that plate, these hoses would slide right out. So it took me a little bit to figure that out. It wasn't real easy to figure it out, but I got that. I hope the volume is on this because I'm not using my wireless mic. My batteries were dead on that. So I hope I'm getting audio on this thing and you're hearing what I'm saying. But anyway, I'm gonna call this a fix. When I come back, all I got to do is put an O-ring in there and put the hoses back in there, put the brackets back on, and we'll call this one a fix. So it turned out not to be as big a problem as I thought it was, but it turned out to be a harder problem to get to than, now I know how to get to it. It's not that big a deal, but it took me a little bit of figuring to work that out. That was not easy to figure out, so I had to cut some. I actually didn't have to cut them, but I cut some cable ties on here that had that tied up. I need to bring some cable ties back with me too. And but we're gonna call that a fix. Just put an O-ring in there and tighten it back up, and we'll be good to go. And then I think we'll be in good shape again. So anyway, I appreciate you watching, and if you ever have a leak, if you got a D4 similar to this, that top plate comes off and the plate behind it actually comes off too, and then those hoses will slide right out of there. Let me make sure you can, I think you can see what I'm talking about. You can see this bracket here. There's an inside bracket, and these things slide up to the inside bracket, and then the outside bracket goes on. You put the screws through and tighten it up, and that holds those metal. They curve up under there, and you have to pull them up tight, and that keeps them from rubbing against the metal down there and wearing a hole in the bottom of them is what it does. So just like this clip keeps this off of the metal here, those brackets keep that metal up off the metal down there, so you don't all the vibrating. These things vibrates like crazy with everything on them vibrates, so it keeps them from vibrating and basically rubbing a hole in the metal or your hose. So anyway, we'll call this a fix. Hopefully that was helpful to somebody. Appreciate you watching.